In today's Black Clover video, I explain all of Asta's new anti-magic spells now that Rio taught Asta how to use the true potential of anti-magic. If you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! First, I explain how it happened that Asta could use magic without mana, but with anti-magic. Then we get to all the new anti-magic spells. So, Rio showed Asta how to use Ki to manipulate his anti-magic, just like normal magic knights use their mana to use real magic. He explained that absolutely everyone unconsciously manipulates Ki, thereby converting it into magical power, which they can then use to create magic. Since Rio himself has no such source with which to create magical power, he cannot use magic. Asta, on the other hand, has such a source, which is different from mana, but can be used nonetheless. Anti-magic. And Asta has successfully done what all other magic knights can do with mana, proving that anti-magic is the opposite of mana and not the opposite of magic itself, despite the name anti-magic. So theoretically it should be called anti-mana to be perfectly honest, but anyway. When Asta started his Ki training, he immediately realized that what he was doing was exactly the same as what everyone else was doing to use, for example, mana skin, a technique based on reinforcement magic. And maybe now Asta is also able to use such and other similar forms of magic. To prove this, we need to find only one example, and we already have the proof. The Zeden technique, which Asta successfully learned, is nothing more than Ki control to manipulate mana in such a way that you can release all the accumulated mana at the same time, in the form of magic. The Zeden technique has been mistakenly classified by many in the Black Clover community as a pure Ki manipulation technique, even though the creation of magic power itself is based on Ki manipulation. That has been clearly confirmed. By definition, Zeden should actually be classified as a form of magic because the user literally creates and releases magic with this technique. Thus, Zeden is magic and not just Ki manipulation. And since Asta could use Zeden, he officially used magic. So all Asta has to do is to manipulate his anti-magic with the help of his Ki, so that he uses his anti-magic in the same way as other mages use all other types of magic. With the Zeden technique, Asta used his Ki to gather his anti-magic and release it at the same time. Now let's take a look at mana skin. Here, Ki is used to gather mana, but instead of releasing it all at once, like Zeden, it is evenly distributed throughout the body and then released on the skin to form a layer that protects the user. Humans do this with Ki manipulation as confirmed in Black Clover. Why is mana skin not classified as Ki manipulation if it is based on the same principle as Zeden? It doesn't make sense, so Zeden is magic. It's all about how to manipulate mana with Ki to achieve different effects, which are then classified as different forms of magic. And as already explained, Asta can use his Ki in the same way with anti-magic as any other mage with mana. And with that, he can do everything a normal magic user should be able to do. We even have an example in Black Clover when Asta uses anti-magic to fly on his sword, just like any other magic knight uses their broomstick. This opens up a variety of possibilities for Asta, which we will discuss today. Things like anti-reinforcement magic, restraining magic, barrier magic, creation magic, seal magic, healing magic, trap magic, anti-runes, mana skin, anti-magic zone, and maybe even ultimate anti-magic. So let's talk about everything. Starting with anti-reinforcement magic. This form of magic allows the user to increase their physical abilities such as strength and speed. Mastering this form of magic results in some sort of transformations, such as Lux Lightning Battle Fiend and Ichika's Dark Cloaked Black Warrior. You might think that because of the transformation aspect, the Devil Union is already based on reinforcement magic, but this is not correct. The Devil Union is more like the Spirit Dive, where the Spirit user basically merges with the Spirit to become one. That's what Asta does with Liebe. Now if Asta were to also use anti-reinforcement magic in the Devil Union, he could get the transformation within a transformation, so to speak. Because even though he transforms into the Devil Union, it is still just a fusion. This fusion can then use anti-reinforcement magic to awaken an anti-magic transformation, like a second stage of the Devil Union, even beyond the true Devil Union with 5 horns. Next on the list is anti-restriction magic. Restriction magic allows the user to immobilize their opponents. Although this form of magic prevents the target from using magic from the grimoire, it does not restrict the use of magical tools. For example, Heath Grice was able to self-destruct using a magic tool. And here the anti-restriction magic would have a great advantage. It is the nature of anti-magic to nullify all magic, so not even magic tools would work. Next on the list is anti-barrier magic. Barrier magic allows the user to create barriers. You don't even need a grimoire unless it's based on a specific spell. There's not much to say about this. Of course, a barrier made of anti-magic would be much more effective than normal magic. Then something very interesting, anti-creation magic. Creation magic allows the user to form various objects and entities from their magic. The only reason Asta might not be able to use creation magic is because it requires a grimoire to activate the spell, since creation magic is not just a form of magic but actually a spell. So Asta will either have to receive an anti-magic scroll or a second grimoire that is only based on anti-magic, or he gains the ability to awaken new spells with a 5-leaf Clover grimoire. Zagret used Patri's 5-leaf Clover grimoire to cast word magic spells, although the original magic was based on light magic, so I wouldn't rule out that possibility. Now it all depends on whether grimoire spells can also be used with anti-magic. While Asta can generate magic power based on key control, with which he can then use magic, this does not mean that grimoires support such a form of magic creation. If it works, it would be an extremely powerful spell for Asta. The types and forms of entities and objects that could be created are limitless. In addition, creation magic is able to incorporate attributes into their spells. This would allow Asta to create entities with attributes that match the nature of anti-magic. For example, anti-magic clones that can nullify any magic when they come into contact with it. Also, you could create anti-magic weapons based on pure anti-magic, such as an anti-magic whip, or an anti-magic bow and arrow, or maybe an anti-magic shield, and so on. Next on the list is anti-seal magic. Seal magic, not to be confused with Sekra's sealing magic, allows the user to seal objects and mana by placing seals on a target. And that could be so overpowered in the form of an anti-magic seal. Imagine a seal that prevents someone from using any magic. Basically a mana block. How could you remove such a seal if the seal is based on the one attribute that cancels out all magic? It would be a one-shot attack. All Asta has to do is to apply an anti-magic seal with the attribute to block mana, and then game over. There's nothing you can do unless Asta releases the seal himself. Not even Lucius Zogratis could do anything. And the next magic is anti-healing magic, and this is a bit complicated. With healing magic, the user can heal themselves or others. Mana is used to speed up the healing process, so it seems that mana itself has a healing attribute, which is why even normal magic tools can have this healing effect. This is also why healing magic is not a magical attribute, but can be used with any magical attribute as long as the user receives such a spell, while spells awaken situationally and are often based on the user's personality. However, since anti-magic is the exact opposite of mana, theoretically, it cannot have a healing attribute, but the exact opposite. Thus, anti-magic could be used in such a way that it is even capable of damaging the life force. That would be pretty much the opposite of healing, as we have seen with all plants when they came in contact with anti-magic. In this case, Asta would not be able to heal anyone, but he could perform life force attacks as Zagret did. Next is anti-trap magic. Trap magic allows the user to create traps by drawing a magic circle and flowing mana into it. Basically everything Zora does, only with the attribute of anti-magic. I think it's possible, but I don't think it's Asta's style to prepare traps like Zora did in the Royal Knight's exam. However, the use of traps on themselves, as Zora did, seems to be something Asta actually found interest in. So maybe there is some hope for anti-trap magic, but I'm keeping my expectations low in that regard. Speaking of traps, one of the main components of traps are runes. And that brings us to a very interesting part. Rune arrays are specially designed sequences of runes that are used to create certain effects. You can basically do everything with runes, no matter what your magic attribute is, as long as you know what you want to accomplish and how to accomplish it. Think of Magna's Soul Chain Deathmatch, for example. It is beyond crazy. But again, I don't think it is the kind of fighting style Asta likes. All the preparations and learning, that's not Asta. However, there are many rune techniques that can be performed immediately and are often part of other magic forms. For example, trap magic, seal magic, and even forbidden magic. One main use of runes is the mana method, at least in the Heart Kingdom. The user forms runes from natural mana. This is then the foundation for the creation of true magic, which in turn is the basis of ultimate magic. Since anti-magic is not part of nature, Asta would never be able to use anything like anti-magic method, and thus theoretically would never be able to use ultimate magic. However, this is not entirely accurate. Let's take a look at what exactly ultimate magic is. Ultimate magic is a secret magic technique of the elven tribe that combines all the magic of its user to create a unique and powerful spell. The user must familiarize themselves with the origin of their soul and physically approach their mana. Thus one understands the true individual essence of their magic. The user can then use all of their magic to create a spell that is unique to each individual, and here's a big but. The enormous amount of magic required for this technique limits it to the most powerful elves, since elves are naturally blessed with mana. So theoretically, even devils of higher rank, due to their enormous mana potential, should be able to use ultimate magic, if they only knew how. However, people who learned mana method and are capable of true magic can borrow magic from natural mana to gain ultimate magic in an artificial way. As explained, anti-magic is not part of nature, so Asta cannot use the mana method. But we can't say that Asta can't use ultimate anti-magic just because nature doesn't have anti-magic for him. What if the anti-magic capacity of Asta and Liebe is equal to the mana capacity of a supreme devil? That would make him more than capable of performing any magic spell, including ultimate magic. I have never seen Asta and Liebe run out of their anti-magic. Even Juno once managed to use up all his mana until he passed out. Of course, this was before he gained access to his elven mana and spirit mana, but still, this clearly shows how much anti-magic Asta actually has. It is as if he has an almost infinite amount of anti-magic, far beyond anything we have ever seen before. Then it just depends on what the true nature of anti-magic is and how it would affect Asta's unique spell. But that's probably topic for another video. Hit the like button if you want to see a video about Asta's ultimate anti-magic. And now we come to the last two techniques, anti-magic skin and anti-magic zone. The anti-magic skin is only on the list because many don't know that it is part of reinforcement magic. In this particular case, Asta can coat himself with anti-magic and use it to protect himself from all sorts of things, such as temperature and in the case of anti-magic, even from all kinds of spells. And the last magic is anti-magic zone, probably the strongest magic technique there is, maybe second to the anti-magic seal. Mana zone allows the user to manipulate the mana and the surrounding, which Asta cannot, but that's not a problem. In Asta's case, he would have to fill his surrounding with his own anti-magic to control it, and then it's just like any other mana zone. Asta would be able to perform all kinds of techniques from any possible location within the anti-magic zone. Also, given the nature of anti-magic, I believe his anti-magic zone will be very similar to Yami's Black Moon, if not much more powerful. You might not be able to use magic inside the anti-magic zone at all. If you perform magic from outside the zone and target Asta, it will be nullified the moment it enters the anti-zone. And if one tries to use physical force, for example, the anti-magic zone could perhaps even have a weakening effect on the person who enters the zone. Similar to the life force damaging effect we already explained, so yeah, pretty overpowered. And that's it for the video. Let me know your favorite anti-magic technique, and do you have any more ideas? Put them in the comments. The exact way anti-magic spells work is described in this video here. I will put the link in the comments. And don't forget to check out yesterday's video about how Asta's father will be revealed. The link to that video is also in the comments. If you like this theory, hit the like button. And if you want to see more Black Clover content, subscribe to our channel with the notification bell activated. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.